think we have on time Radovan and Rafael. Probably Radovan already introduced, but it would be nice Rafael also can introduce yourself before starting the session.
Yeah. So hello, my name is Rafael. I'm working at UIB since July, so pretty new to the team. I'm mainly responsible for the first line of support. So basically, when you reach out to us and ask for support for any HPC system, you're going to talk to me or Solomon. And then, yeah, we're gonna talk to you, give you an answer, and redirect your ticket to our team and to help you better. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Looking forward to the session. So now this will be the last session of today, the last session of the workshop. And for the next almost 30 minutes with Rafael, we want to give you insight on how that works on our side, but also what it means for you, on how you can send us requests so that we can help to solve the problem faster. And in the meantime, how is the weather in Bergen now? Is it raining?
So it's better.
Okay.
Not as rainy as usual.
Okay, so how can people participate? It will be a slideshow, but we still hope we get lots of questions here on the document. So Rafael and me, we are watching the document. Keep the questions coming. If you open this link, how to ask for help, you land here. There is a slide deck. If you want to follow sort of on your own and go through slides, you can do it. You can also download it. So this will be available on the internet, and I will just open it up in a different tab so that it's easier to read. And I will adjust here slightly the screen share. Okay, hopefully it was the weather. So this is about asking help with supercomputers. The things we plan to do is to tell you what kind of help is available, when to ask for help. Yeah, don't hesitate, just go for it. The main topic here is how to write support requests so that you get quick and useful answers. It's about improving your experience. So this is not about improving our experience for the staff. Really, the main goal is your experience. But we will give some tips that can help both of us. And if we have time at the end, we can also talk more about reproducible examples and simplifying problems, if we have time. This is based on work of others, so here crediting them. Also, what we talk about here, you can find on our documentation pages. And we will also open up the documentation page every now and then to show you where these things are. When you have a problem and you ask for help, there are many places that you can do that. It can be a colleague in the corridor. It can be one of our Q&A sessions. So you may or may not know that we have every month a Q&A session, and I want to show you where you can find this, where you can show up and meet the people who work here, ask us questions about your calculations. And every month we try to have a theme. And here we have the next one will be then October 26. And our focus is containers. Some places offer office hours. These days, many people also like to use an AI-based chat system. We have the documentation pages, but we also have an issue tracker. And this is what Rafael mentioned. So when you write an email to us on our side, it's an issue tracker. It opens up something we call the ticket. And then we discuss through email and we try to solve this problem. And this is often a problem with a computer or a program that you didn't write, but we also have help available for people who, if you write your own code and you want help with that. And there is more. There are mailing lists and fora and Stack Exchange. I have tried to sort them a little bit with, I don't know how I feel. So the lower I go on this list, the scarier it is for me to ask a question there, because the more visible it is. But let's talk more about this issue tracker and the email and email help and how to do it well. And I look at the collaborative notes, ask us questions, give us suggestions. When to ask for help, don't hesitate. Just go for it. If in doubt, send an email. But we will also appreciate if we see that you spent more than 2 minutes on the problem. And this is not because we want to save 2 minutes of our time, but spending 2-3 minutes on your side before sending the email can save hours of back and forth and asking the same questions and really sharpening what the problem even is. It may or may not be helpful to set yourself a time limit. So sometimes what I do is that I decide that, well, I will spend 1 hour on this thing and maybe I solve it. And if I don't manage to solve it, then I go to the help session or I send an email and ask for help. It can also be helpful if you tell us what you really want from us. Do you want advice or do you want something done, like to install something or help with programming, help with scaling? Tell us what you really want. It's good to not forget the human aspect of it, the human touch. On both sides of this are human beings. And I like to remind both myself and the staff, but also then people writing the email that, so for the staff, that it's good to remember there is a human being on the other side. We know that it is not easy to ask for help. The person that sends the email has not spent 20 years on Linux computers. Maybe the person on the other side has maybe spent weeks struggling with a problem and has been waiting for days or weeks for my answer. So it's important that we are always respectful. Good to know for you as users is that the staff answering, it might be Rafael, it might be me, it might be some other colleague. We have rotating support. So every week, every few weeks, there is maybe different people answering. We don't know. I don't know everything. I might be even spending less time on a supercomputer than the users are. And I may also not know the user. I may not have the context. So creating this context is really useful because there are so many people on the system. I might just not know. I might not know you, remember you. I don't know what you are trying to achieve. And Rafael, of course, please help me here, fill in any time I miss an important point.
Yeah, it's this last point is really important because, for example, internally we have a rotation with people from different teams. So generally we have to ask help for other people now. We have to ask in the internal channel. So it might take a while also. So yeah, every time you provide like a very complete ticket and give the context, like Ivan said, it's very nice. I myself, for example, I have a good experience with support, but not with supercomputers. So yeah, we are always learning. Everybody's learning. That's nice.
And it's okay. It's fun to learn together. So we don't know everything, and it's not a problem. It's fun to do problem solving and learning together. I also remember my first ticket I ever wrote. That was many years ago, and I wrote this lengthy novel, being very polite and asking in a very polite way. But it was in all these paragraphs. It wasn't clear what I actually wanted. What I wanted is I was asking to get access to a certain code, and then a few days later I got this very short answer. And I felt a little bit embarrassed because, so I didn't really, I was very polite, but I didn't say what I was after. But that's fine. One thing that helps us is so when you send this email, to use a subject which is descriptive, because it helps us to sort it to the right place and to the right person. So if the subject is problem, then that's not very useful. This is some more useful subject line. So these very simple things, that they can already help us a lot to channel it to the right person to help. And about this providing context, there are a few more things that can help us. It can be helpful if it's meaningful to tell us what is the username. I mean, we can find it out, but it takes time. So what's your username of the machine? If we need to look at some files, then if you give us a explicit full path, that's more useful than if you tell us that it's in your home or in a relative path, because from here, I don't see where it is. I need to then go in, find out the username. Here, I can see it immediately. So full path, which machine? We have several. We have 3 or more clusters. Which software, if it's meaningful, which research field. Earlier in this course, we have motivated to not put anything into your Bash RCO environment that affects your jobs, but some people do. So if you modify your environment in a way that it affects your calculations, then please tell us what this modification is, because otherwise it will behave differently on my side. If you want us to look at your files, then tell us that this is what you want to do. Like we don't do that without asking. It makes it faster to check certain issues. So we don't just look at files without any explicit permission.
I don't have a number, but I would say 30% of the tickets we get, they don't have the complete context. So they don't have the product number or the username or the machine. The clusters, we try to make them alike, but they are not exactly the same. They have different softwares and different infrastructure. So generally, I have to ask the user for like to give more context, and then wait, and this back and forth takes time. So yeah, again, if everything is in the ticket, is really nice, and you get a faster and more accurate answer.
Good point. Few more things that can be helpful is if you tell us, like the thing that now doesn't work, has it ever worked before, or is the very first time you try? This is sometimes not clear from the email. And if we know that this is something that worked yesterday but doesn't work today, then we have a good idea of what happened. Maybe we changed something. But if this never worked before, this is also useful to know. It's also useful to know what are you trying to accomplish? Really the goal, not the current technical obstacle, but once it's solved, where do you want to go to? This can be helpful. If you try to like problem solve it, what did you do? Try to be specific, try to be reproducible. If there was an error message, give us this error message. Which commands did you run, from login to the problem? And yeah, tell us what you really need. Do you need a complete solution, or do you need to get a pointer to get started? Also, they complete the context. Tell us what you have tried. So has it stopped working? Has it ever worked? If this fails, does it always fail this way? So did you try a few times or only sometimes? Some problems fail only sometimes. And that can be really tricky to troubleshoot. Have you tried to isolate and simplify the problem? So if something fails, then I like to remove things, make it simpler, make it smaller, because that can help me identifying what the problem is. We have documentation, there is web, but sometimes the web is wrong. Like, don't be afraid to ask. This is not, all of these things that we say are not meant to create a barrier. Hopefully they are meant to lower the barrier. Okay, just checking my time. We have not much more than 10 minutes left, but that is fine. We want a few more things. I like to talk about this XY problem, because that happens every now and then, is that somebody tries to do something, and of course they check out the internet, they ask, I don't know, ChatGPT, etc., and then they find out that to achieve what they want to do, then Y is the right way of doing it. And they try it, and they hit a problem, and then they contact us with that problem. and then we work together on the problem. But then after some interaction, it becomes clear to us that we never knew what did the person really want to do. So the goal was never communicated. And then sometimes we find out that what we are trying to solve here is not even the best solution to achieve that goal, but nobody told us what the goal was. So it's good if you tell us what you really want to do. Or sometimes we might advise a different path and not waste time on problem solving sort of the wrong path. This also goes the opposite way. It also means for us as staff is that we need to read a little bit between the lines. Sometimes it's not just about solving the issue and closing it and moving on to the next one. Sometimes it's reading between the lines, looking closer and looking for the right solution. Yeah. We as staff sometimes think, well, shouldn't we just create a form for users so that they can fill out what is my username, what is my machine, like a checklist. We don't do it yet. The problem with checklists is that it can make users feel like they are, annoying us, which is not the case at all. So we don't want to be too formal there yet either. And we should not forget that the person asking may not yet know how to look for solutions. So what we try to do is that, well, we should help them showing how we look together for solutions. We will not send you just a link to the documentation, but we need to reply with empathy. We will work together through this checklist and together discuss what you have tried and what you have found. So back to empathy here. Yeah, what happens with a request? When you send us an email, it opens up a ticket. How do people send us emails? Let me show you that. So here on our documentation, let's go back to the start. Getting help, the first. So there are two emails here. So for certain reasons, we have two contact email addresses. This one is more for technical questions. If you want software installation or the job crashes, you are unsure about the job script, then write to this email. If you have questions about your account, your quota, group membership, projects, then it's another email address. I understand that this is not very convenient for the users, but I think our ambition is to combine this. So for historical reasons, we have these two different channels. I think in future it will be nice to provide one channel, but we wanted you to know that this exists. If you send to the wrong one, it's not a problem. We will then guide you towards the other email. And once people send an email to it, what happens then? Tickets are numbered. So on our side, it opens up something we call the ticket. It gets a number. We also give it labels. It helps us classifying them and getting them to the right person. Because in the organization, there are, I don't know, 50, 60 people working, everybody specializing on something different. So we try to get a ticket to the right person to help you. Some tickets also change hands. So on our side, we have like a thread where we keep notes, and we try to always describe the context, and sometimes we need to hand over a request to somebody else who then picks it up. And we talked about better formulated requests. And once we resolve a problem, we close the ticket. Good. Anything more to say here?
So it's really important also to provide feedback for us. So we are working on a ticket. We are talking to the right team. We are getting answers and exploring more the issue. But when it's solved or if the solution works, it's important also to get back to us and notify us that it worked or if you need more help. Because if not, the ticket stays there waiting for an answer, and then we eventually have to ask the person if it's solved or not, and then so it's also nice for us to know if the issue was solved. So again, we are all learning,
Yeah.
And this also serves us as a documentation. You know, we generally go through, for example, when a new problem comes, we then look for older tickets to find like a solution, you know, or a way. So it's nice if you also tell us that this worked.
Mm. Yeah, it's sometimes nice to hear that something was actually worked and good, because we here in this job we are used to hearing about problems, but like nobody ever calls you at 2 o'clock in the morning, tells you that, wow, the machine is working fine. Oh, so it's if something is working and you know your research is going well, you can also tell us. It's also fine and allowed. We also label tickets so that we can take a big picture look at them. If we see that the same thing gets asked over and over and over, then we know that there is nothing wrong with the users. There is something wrong with our usability. So maybe we need to change something we can improve on our side. At any day of the year, we have roughly 20, 30 open tickets that we work on, just to give you an idea of the volume. And now that we have 5 minutes left, I think let's discuss. We will not go through the whole slide deck, but you have it. You can browse through it. Let's look at some example requests and discuss what do we like about them. I will show you two, and Rafael can help me. So let's look at this request. This was actually a real one, but a little bit modified and anonymized. So hi, I'm user so-and-so on the cluster Saga. And since this morning, I can't log in anymore. I have tried to log into From and Betsy, and this works. I use SSH keys to log in, and the error that I get since this morning is this one. Thank you in advance. How to solve this? Best regards. So Rafael, what do you like about this request?
Well, a lot of things. User states his username and where he's trying to work.
Yeah.
And since when actually the issue started. Those are really important. And then what solution he tried to do, like for example, Fran and Betsy are working. So it's probably something with Saga. And then actually a log of what's happening. So we clearly see the error.
Yeah. So just from this email, we will get a very good idea of what happened. We know from this email, I can see that the user knows how to log into machines, because this is a new problem since this morning. The user has tried to log into other machine that works. So probably not something wrong on their end. Something has changed on the cluster, probably here. And also from this error message, we will get a very good idea of what changed. We don't need to discuss now what really the problem was, but based on this email, we know what to do. We go on Saga, and probably with one answer, the problem is solved. Let's show you another one. This one I also like. Hi, I'm not sure I wrote to the right support line, but what I'm looking for is I want to have a virtual machine where we can install some web server with some database. What we have in mind what we really want is a service where we can share the data from our recent study. The data can be fully public. It's about 2,000 records, not too much. We would like to create a web front end where people can search through and plot our data. So what do you like about this one?
So the person provides what they want to achieve. They also give us suggestions. Exactly what they want. So the problem X, Y.
That's a really nice one. And it's actually a real request. Again, a little bit modified, anonymized, but here not only what they wanted to get from us, but also what they wanted to have at the end. And in this case, we got into contact, we talked, and we found out that what they wanted from us actually wasn't the best solution for their use case. And we found a different use case. So we gave them something different, and they are happy, and everybody's happy. But if they never told us what they really want, then we would have given them exactly what they asked for. So that's very nice. 1 more minute left. I'm just looking what we should focus on in the remaining time? I think we will not have time to talk about growing a calculation and reproducibility, but you can look at these slides. I think I will go directly to the last slide. Is you are not alone. We are happy to help. We really like to do it. So many people in our organization really like to help out and problem solve with you. Show up, pop into one of our Q&A help sessions. You can, it's very, very informal. Into our office hours, send us an email. When you report a problem, you are probably not the only one experiencing, but you might be the only one reporting it. The question is never stupid. It's not too simple. Often the simple questions are the best questions. We really enjoy helping. If something worked well, you can also let us know. And yeah, the slides are online and will remain online. Looking here at the document, no questions came in, but what did we miss? I will go back to the document. One thing we should definitely not forget, let us know how things went today. Give us feedback for the day. Please tell us one thing that was really good, that we should keep. Tell us one thing we should improve, change, remove for next time. It is really this feedback that improves this workshop. Raphael, did I forget something to show or discuss?
No, I guess it's pretty summarized here.
There is a question coming in. What is the best way to share log files? You can, great question. You can send us an attachment. The other thing that is really great is give us the path, the full path to where they are, and tell us that it's okay for us to look at the log files. So back to this slide here. Let us know where they are. The log files, you can find them in cluster home, yourself, some path. Because then on the machine we can look. Sometimes they are too big to be attached to an email. More questions, welcome. And if otherwise, I don't want to overstretch here. So maybe microphone back to Dania. Thanks, Raphael, for going through this session with me. Thanks everybody for listening. And we will continue answering questions. Dania, you have the microphone.
Yeah, thanks, Radovan.